moments that were just plain fun and some that were so moving I wept. But as far as great days go, this one left me thrilled. It seemed to me a perfect distillation of the country Australia bargain. Yes, everyone will know your business. Secrets are hard to keep. And when things go wrong, it feels as if the strain is magnified. In return, however, there are 4.3 kilogram pawpaws, curiosities, artefacts, the full breadth of the natural world. When I was just a boy, living on a remote cattle station 5 hours west of Charleville in Queensland's Channel Country, this world was endlessly fascinating. In my mother Deb, I had a guide who was herself curious and kind, except when it came to snakes. Don Watson once wrote, "Deep in the Gippsland subconscious there lay coiled a snake." I thought this applied rather nicely to all of Australia, especially the regions, and it certainly governed a lot of our life. When we weren't fretting about them, Mum was showing me the different kinds of birds. Glorious wedge-tailed eagles, peregrine falcons, Major Mitchell's cockatoo, brolgas, finches, and small mammals. My brother Toby and I made cubby houses in the scented mulga shrub that erupted with sensation after the rain, chased feral pigs into the dry creek beds filled with opal and lined by river redgums. Sometimes I wonder who I would be if I didn't see the world in such detail from such a young age. Perhaps flatter in my dimensions. This early connection to the land is a shadow of what this continent's first peoples know to be an overwhelming imperative. To be and stay in communication with country is not just a matter of culture, but of personal health. It is also a privilege. My family and I saw the other stuff too, the addiction and crime, the heartache of losing friends to accidents, which are more common in the bush, the small-mindedness and periodic rejection of minorities. Despite being able to see the horizon, we realised how suffocating our lives could be, how denuded of opportunity, or so we felt. This collection of writing is, I hope, a way to be honest about all of it. Having spent half my life now living in cities, it is increasingly the country life that I crave. Others may have been formed in rural areas, but will never return because of the scars left by those experiences. Ask anyone what growing up means and they'll assume it refers to an exit from childhood. That is not the definition we have taken here. At 35, I am still growing up. People have encountered foundational moments at the age of 40, 60 and 80. There have been times when children have been the most grown-up people in a room full of adults. There were hundreds of submissions to this collection, and although it is impossible to include all of them, the themes were striking to me. Of loneliness or belonging, sustenance or degradation, or even the particular politics of the country school bus. Unlike public transport in the cities, these buses are a pre-programmed ride for the same kids on the same route every day. Whole fiefdoms are given the chance to develop in this closed system. I didn't even get to use a school bus until I started year 3 when we moved to Boona and I had to go to a real school, and I had largely blocked out those 45-minute each-way trips where the older kids would hoot and holler and I would try to look out the window and be small. Nothing seemed to illustrate the far-reaching powers of the school or its status as a panopticon in student lives than when special assemblies were called to discuss what happened on the bus yesterday. Much of what we see about life in the bush is coloured by the romance of days long behind us. I wanted this anthology to be a more modern account. One thing that has always fascinated me as a white boy raised in an almost entirely white part of the world was how migrants found life in the country, especially when they skipped the big cities altogether and arrived from their homelands to settle in the regions. What does that do to the soul to lose a common language and culture and in doing so find that the ability to remain in the background also vanishes? No one person's account is the same as another's, of course. You will find in these pages a colourful and gripping pastiche that updates the experience outside Australia's cities and large regional centres. You will find, despite the absolute variety